All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual, and see what we get in here. These get a little lively. Sometimes they take a few minutes. It's going to be a shoulder day today. I'm going to do 12 sets for delts. Delts are going to get a fair amount of attention still, even though watching volumes a little bit. So scale is sitting down at 217 with carb flow. We're eating a lot of calories though. P327, good morning. I think people don't realize a lot of times I bounce back and forth in water weight because I do high carbs versus low carbs. I want to tighten up a little bit, but if I want to keep the calories high, keep the training dialed in, I can recomp, right? Get some recomposition. So I want to get those lifting numbers for the year. Right, I want to get those lifting numbers. I want to get that 550 squat, 375 pause bench. Take some work. I think they're good goals for the year though. Already squatting 500. See if we can do that consistently at least every week, right? Because then I'm at least within 10% of my goal all the time. And there's a whole method to the madness of training maxes like that. I know we can slowly work up PRs there. Rotate bars a little bit too. Do you ever notice some mirrors make you look small as hell, but some ones pretty big? Yeah, absolutely. Gym mirrors, you always look big. Bathroom mirrors, you always look small, right? I don't look anything in the mirror like I look in my camera footage. Like I literally had to ask multiple people, like in person, like just in my shorts or whatever, or even naked. Do I look like these videos? Because I don't see any of this, And they're like, you're bigger and leaner than your camera angles. They're like, you do better garage lighting. I'm like, what? But then I look in the mirror and I don't see that, Pepper. I look tiny in the mirror. Like I look about 160 pounds with a belly when I look in the mirror. Yorkie, because one, I hate cutting. Two, I can't afford the strength losses. Again, I've noticed right now I'm picking up clients again purely from blogs and my squat and stuff going back up. Like business, absolutely business. Largely what I find, my clients don't care so much about the leanness. They're already like, you're already lean. Like, why are you going to get any leaner? So you ever receive, not to my knowledge, the plunger? That's a weird question. So people like, do porn companies just go through YouTube and find YouTubers and send them messages to do porn? Like, is this a thing? Or do you mean, have I had someone ask me to do an OnlyFans or something with them? That's different. Yeah, I've had someone ask me if I'd do OnlyFans with them. We ended up not doing it. All right. Yeah, Yorkie, I don't think anyone should do quick cuts, honestly, unless you're really overweight with a bunch to drop. I've made videos explaining this. You should be working on gains year round. Is everyone just like smaller when they're on video? No, I don't think so. No, I've been told it's my lighting. Like I've been given opinions by people in person. They're like, your lighting isn't good enough in your garage. No, because I look on camera, I was surprised how I looked when I started doing the shirtless stuff. Like I was really, really shocked. I'm like, I don't look like that. So I had to go ask people. Because in the mirror, that's not how I look. I don't even look like I lift in the mirror. But that's also my body dysmorphia. Does it make sense? My body dysmorphia. So in the mirror, I don't really see it. On camera, like I'm super content with how I look. Professionally, I could stand to look better. But like me personally, uh, like you take yesterday's workout footage, right? Me doing the curls and stuff. Dude, I'm content. If I only looked 90% like that, I would be perfectly happy. Like from a personal goals, I would be extremely content if I looked 90% of how I look in the footage there. Professionally, I need to look about 50% better, like for financial reasons. So you always have to separate those things too. To separate those things. Is it all right if I ask a bit of a heavier question? Sure, Jefferson, but I'm on my first cup of coffee, as long as it doesn't pertain to the abuse stuff, because I don't want to talk about that right now. I gave you guys 2 hours of it. That's all you're going to get for a long time. It took a lot out of me. I was extremely emotionally draining for me, and I got to run a business and train. I can't do that and just fall off of the world for a week. Starting strength program only has 1 set of deadlifts for each session. Is that really enough for a novice? Yeah, plenty, dude. Hey, Jefferson, if you need advice, that's different. You're not asking me to recall memories. You're asking me for help with your problem. Okay, well, that's different. That's not going to trigger anything in me. So if you need help with it, let's hear it, brother. If you need some advice, man, I'll be happy to give it. I mean, just don't post anything too graphic in here. Hey, Yorkie, because that's plenty. Dude, that's plenty. I mean, Yorkie, a lot of times I only do 1 set of deadlifts a week. Hey, Rocky, I wouldn't give a single flying F. They know better than to do that. You about to see me get pissed. I would tell them how hard they could go F themselves and what they could do it with. Every member of my family knows I would do that too. That's kind of funny, man. The internet acts like I'm a certain way, and people who know me don't. I'm not a pushover in person. Let's put it that way. It was about how I lost my faith because of abuse. I went through. That's tough. I was wondering if maybe it would cost you your own faith. It still does sometimes, Jefferson. It still does. There are times when I step back and make the statement that if God was real, he wouldn't have let those things happen. That's a hard one. So it's not even angry at God. It's you can't possibly exist. It's not possible. And I go back and forth. That's for me been my biggest struggle as a believer is actually that. And the problem I had one time when I went in early on years before, when I completely rejected any possibility of religion, I asked a preacher about it. And he told me, well, God does things for a reason we don't understand. And I cussed him out and threw the Bible at him, and I walked out. Said I would never believe in God. I got threw his Bible at him. So I'm like, no, dude, don't even go there with me. So it's tough, man. What other sources of omega-3s besides fish? Walnuts, flax seeds. I don't know. I've never had spiritual counseling. Yeah, Yorkie, the deadlift is hard on recovery if you're not careful. 2, the deadlift doesn't require a lot of practice. You can use other lifts to build up. And do you want Ripto's answer? Ripto answered that actual question, by the way, in some seminars 15 years ago, by the way, your question. You were talking about starting strength. So I can tell you the answer that he gave. He's like, we tested it and found that they progressed slower on the deadlift and got less results when we did multiple sets. He's like, and the people who only did 1 set made better progress. That was his answer. Chia seeds are really good for omegas. They have even more than flax seeds. I don't know if they have more than flax seeds. I've never seen that data. Never seen that data. Right. Yeah, starting strength is essentially a squat-based program. You do more squatting than anything else in the program. But also, Ripto believes the low bar squat builds hamstrings, thus removing the need. I don't know that the low bar squat builds hamstrings. Not to the degree that we would want. All the data I've seen shows only very small amounts of muscle growth from back squatting, but they weren't necessarily testing low bar squats. It was testing like a high bar squat. We're a little slow in here this morning. I like to do just one set of the big three, and the rest of work goes on accessory lifts to build them up, and that's perfectly reasonable. Other than I do multiple sets of bench. For a novice, Yorkie, I tend to agree. All my novice programs are very similar. I find novices can't handle multiple sets of deadlifts for long. And it's also because of psychological impact. It's getting them to maintain good form for multiple sets of deadlifts. Once that fatigue sits in, a novice doesn't have the experience and concentration usually. I find people in their first couple years, 2 to 3 years of training, struggle with multiple sets of deadlifts. Mainly because they can't maintain rep to rep consistency, set to set. They start breaking down. They're having to start psyching themselves up, and then their form just goes to complete garbage. Getting any of my younger guys to deadlift work sets without psyching up and doing a 57-minute long ritual before they pull the first rep is actually kind of difficult for men in their 20s. And I'm just saying straight up, it's really difficult to get them to even do a full work set with good form or to not get psyched up, to just calmly pull. Like dudes be walking around, look like they're exercising a ghost before they walk over and pull their first rep in a 5-rep set. And I'm like, walk over and pull the rep. Dude, you can do 3 to 5 reps with that weight. It's not heavy. Just walk over and pull it. You don't see me doing that. If I'm only pulling 500 pounds, I just walk over and just start repping it. I don't even think about it. Just walk over and start pulling. It's not hard. But getting them to not psych up is difficult. You know, it's and they waste all their energy on the setup. Then they start hanging out at the bottom for a full second before they pull, which is how you tear biceps, right? Even with straps, by the way, and not an underhand grip. You can't hang out at the bottom of a deadlift. You lose 5 to 10% of your strength. You start tearing biceps. You can't spend any time stopped before you pull. You have to just wedge in and pull. It needs to be a continual motion. So there's your problem, Yorkie. Novices, they won't maintain good form for multiple sets. If you get one good set out of them where they'll actually focus correctly, it's all you can expect also. So there's that as well. Hey, Jason, which split do you program for lifters who can only go to the gym 3 times a week? Push-pull legs usually right now. Most of my dad bod guys do that. Like, watch the vlogs. Alex and Justin both do a push-pull legs 3 days a week. I do a 4-day for Mattias. So I have 3 clients now vlogging again. I just started them a week ago. Do you think dynamic effort work is a bit overrated? No, dynamic effort work can have its place if you need it, especially for people who need the power training, for people who need the practice on the big lifts, right? But you also have to keep in mind that dynamic work is because in conjugate, they're rotating movements every week on the max effort. So they do need the extra practice with the really close lifts. So that's also something people forget about with dynamic effort of you get lots and lots of first reps. I don't know fully that it does either. I tend to be explosive on a lot of lifts, even when I've gone years without any banded speed work. I mean, I think that it can help you reach your explosive potential. I almost feel like the speed work is better for athletes in a speed strength sport than it is for strength purposes. So I think it's going to come down to genetics. I've never tested my vertical jump. But I think the difference for that is helping people depending upon their genetics. So if you kind of go with what Louis said, if you get someone who's strong, I need to make them faster. If you get someone who's fast, I need to make them stronger. I'm fast. Like I lift fast. It's really hard for me to do those slow ass reps you guys see me do on all the curls and all those isolation work. I have to intentionally slow that stuff down. And then when I reach failure, people are like, we didn't see the slow rep. I'm like, all 9 reps were slow, dude. Those things took like 17 seconds a rep. I am intentionally going slow. So that should probably give some context into what you see with my lifting. So for me, all my isolation work is concentrated super slow. Those feel like 6-second reps to me. I'm going so slow that it's monotonous. But they just look like this to everyone watching. But that feels like 6 seconds to me. I am going so slow on purpose. To me, that is super slow training. So all my rep work and hypertrophy work, I'm going really slow. To me, in my mind. Because you see what my max squats and deadlifts look like. And I'll do those, and then people will go, that looked like you could have done 50 more pounds. I'm like, no, that was 100% max. If you do your isolation work more explosively, yeah, I'd probably get more reps for sure. But it also doesn't give the same burn. Right? It doesn't give the same burn. You guys toss me some likes here. Come on now. So yeah, I'm trying to go really slow on most of that stuff. Have you ever tried explosive concentrics? What do you mean? That's well, yeah, but if I do explosive concentrics, I start losing the bar and stuff. It starts hurting. So when I've done that, like I used to try to do that with close grip bench and stuff, and the bar would pop every time. Same thing with squatting. So no, I don't worry about going super, super fast. I just try to control it. And I used to approach that approach. I don't think the data really fully supports it. I think as long as we're controlled all the way, we're probably a little better for just hypertrophy for most of our stuff. What do you mean by the bar pops? The bar bends on every rep. And then it snaps when you get to the top, and it's a little uncomfortable. I mean, it does it sometimes with the stiffer bar. Granted, I have that power bar now. When I used to use the road bars, it was a problem. Yeah, I have a 25 kilo also. I mean, that would definitely eliminate it. But again, I just don't feel the need to do any of that. Because I focus on my heavy work for that. I try to move the heavy work as fast as possible. So all the squat, bench, and deadlift heavy sets I do, I try to move them super fast. That bench rep work, I slow it down a little bit. And I think that's probably another reason people are like, why are the numbers lower? I get people like, your percentages are off. I'm like, no, those are like 0 rep in reserve to 1 rep in reserve when I drop down to 275. Could be because I'm intentionally moving it kind of slow. I'm just trying to build muscle. What if as a novice I can do multiple deadlift sets calmly with proper form with multiple sets of deadlifts? Hey, Yorkie, you're a novice, right? Maybe you should follow the programs as they're written. And I know people who are inexperienced hate to hear that because they're thinking they're going to find a cheat code. Hey, can I make this change in your program? Can I make this change in that program? And I'm like, how many years of coaching experience do you have? They're like, what? None. I'm like, you haven't coached people for 8, 9, 10 years? I would say you shouldn't touch anything. Because the odds that you're going to not make it worse. But if you want to add some curls or something to starting strength, that's fine. But you're telling me you do multiple sets of 5 to 8 reps to failure on the deadlift. How's that working for you? Okay. Hey, Rocky, I'm getting rid of you. You already asked one goofball question. I've been coaching longer than I've been on YouTube. So we've covered this. Do you think 3x8 for halting deadlifts and 5x3 for below the knee blocks pulls are appropriate? Maybe. I think that's a lot. Pulling volume. What are you trying to get out of it, Jefferson? And hopefully you're not trying to do both, are you? You're just picking one supplemental lift. And look, I get the need for some of the stuff for assistance, but that's if you're not going to do a lot of accessory work. Hey, Yorkie, how many sets of deadlifts do you see me do most weeks? Most weeks I only do one set. Like this week, what did I do for deadlifts? I put 550 on the bar and did a 4-rep set and walked away. I probably could have just not even trained anything else that day and made gains off that. But I did all my glute ham raises and reverse hypers after. Yeah, Jefferson, I think assistance work is a bit overrated. I think a little assistance work is good. And it needs to be specific. Otherwise, it needs to be a general exercise, like just basically accessory stuff, like some Romanian deadlifts be fine assistance for anyone on deadlift if they needed something. But as far as those other assistants, those ones that you list are specific to weak links. And I don't know that you need 5 triples of an assistance exercise. I don't know that you need 5 of anything. I mean, 3 sets. 3 sets of an assistance, assuming you have a weak link. Otherwise, it would just be a general assistance exercise. And I don't think halting deadlifts are a general assistance exercise. I think they're very specific to where we miss. Ironically, where I tend to miss would kind of be an example. And then everything else should be accessory. But yeah, I don't think you need more than 3 sets of total assistance in an entire week for any big movement. And it's assuming you're an advanced lifter, obviously. And I already know that you are. Yeah, Yorkie, to me, that doesn't seem counterintuitive. You're talking about a deadlift, dude. It doesn't take a whole lot of deadlifts to get an enormous training response. Is there a significant benefit in training each muscle 2-3 times per week volume? I don't think that there's a benefit at all. No, if volume is equated, there's no benefit that I've ever seen. There's a reason I train everything once a week now. It's easier on your joints, even with volume equated. Right? And keep in mind, I think people forget the splash over. So when you're doing body part splits, it's not like we're not resparking a lot of muscle protein synthesis on different days. So what I mean is, um, and this is why a lot of the data has shown there doesn't seem to be a difference, even though in theory we have the whole MVS thing. Because think about it this way. So for example, I do chest and triceps on Monday, glute hamstrings Tuesday, back biceps Wednesday, shoulders today, legs on Friday. But doesn't everything get hit kind of indirectly again? In other words, do the weighted chin ups, do they put stress on the long head of the tricep and the upper chest and things? Yeah. Is it enough to respark the muscle protein synthesis? Possibly. And there's been some data to suggest that. Yeah, Jefferson, I found that only works to about age 30. Notice how many of the people who push the higher frequency big lifts are done and out of the game before age 40. I'm just saying, have you made this note? And has training a big lift once a week ever stopped anyone from breaking a world record in powerlifting in the open? Has it ever prevented them from doing it? Plenty of world record holders only train those lifts once a week. And I'm talking all-time open world record holders who've broken them. I'm not talking federation. I'm talking open powerlifting. I've personally met guys who are not super heavies, benching over 500, squatting and deadlifting over 800, who train 3 days a week. Well, Jefferson, for now, just something I'm going to point out to think about in the long term. Okay, for now. And it's good till it isn't. I can definitely tell you in my 40s trying to hit big lifts twice a week, I can tell the difference. What I do right now, I have no pain at all. My joints do not hurt ever when I wake up in the morning. They feel perfectly fine. Not saying I don't get some muscle DOMs. When I was doing stuff twice a week, I cannot say that that's true. There's a genetic component, but then age is always going to be a component, especially with things like our collagen synthesis and stuff. But yeah, Jefferson, just noting that. I mean, look at Candido. He pushed all the high frequency stuff, sold all those programs, and then all of a sudden, a few years back, and he's not even that old, I can't powerlift anymore. You know, just stuff to think about. You got to think about the long game. Why would bone broth help collagen? To eat more protein, to eat foods that cause collagen synthesis, certain antioxidants, your vitamin C, vitamin E, in food form, not supplement. Best thing you can do off the bat, though, is no dietary deficiencies and to force feed more protein. The rich in collagen is irrelevant. Like, this has been looked at. They're largely debunking collagen protein actually even being better than whey protein. Like, straight up whey protein will give you just as much, if not better, collagen synthesis than consuming collagen. Eat more protein. Miko, I don't know if damage is the word. There seem to be some calcification and stuff. Yeah, like it's just bone touches bone. So it seemed to definitely cause some reduced range of motion that I cannot get to return. I mean, because damage would mean that it hurts or other, but there's no pain. It's just I literally can't move my shoulders through those ranges of motion, even from a dead hang. So when you guys see me put a pair of 55-pound plates and I've hung it from a belt and just do a dead hang, I just don't have that range of motion, and it won't force there, because you figure at this point we have over 300 pounds on it and just hang. And all that does is hurt my biceps and my forearms. All right. Some of it feels like some bicep tightness though too. And no amount of stretching I've done or loading has helped, really. That's why I didn't do the pullovers this week. I did the pullovers for months and months and months and months and months, if not over a year. They helped to a certain point, and literally that range of motion does not move. No amount of mobility work helps it. No amount of hanging, stretching with weights. It's just where it is. And if it can't be forced, again, with my body weight plus 110 pounds of plates, then I don't think anything is going to change it. Why do you prefer dumbbell rows over barbell rows? What made you think I prefer dumbbell rows over barbell rows? You guys preface these things with weird questions and then you want follow-ups. No, I said I like them. I feel like my position on rows has been very consistent. I like rows. Yet I'm doing barbell rows this week. No, I think it is a great exercise. It's a great go-to. But if you notice, I prescribe all types of rows. I've done all types of rows, and people say row. I'm like, rows are good. Rows are good. Barbell rows, dumbbell rows, pin lay rows, overhand grip, underhand grip, croc rows. Doesn't matter. Inverted or weighted inverted rows. Rows are good. Now that's another direct quote. You can't really go wrong with rows. I like them all, Jefferson. I like barbell rows and dumbbell rows. I think they're both fantastic. My favorite can change day to day, hour to hour. Yeah, I'm a stickler for the chest, not the waist, because that's not a row, that's a swing. Are you rowing it, or are you just doing a swing? I don't know why people are calling that a row. They should call it a dumbbell swing. They call it a hip swing, not a row, because for a row, you've got to row it, not swing it. It's almost like a little kickback they're doing. And that's fine, but you're not going to work your entire back to the same degree. Can squat compensate for deadlift? Is why starting strength has squats. Yorkie, I don't understand your squat question. Please ask it a different way. What are the best ways to overload inverted rows? I think weight vests work great. Someone putting plates on your chest works great. Do you think bringing a bar or a bell to the waist has any benefits over the chest? No. I guess technically you can use a heavier weight through a shorter range of motion. We could argue that if you don't care about your upper back and you're just trying to grow the lats, like if you don't want your traps to grow, like you're just like, man, my traps and my rear delts are just so goddamn big that I need them to shrink, but I still want to do some type of row. I guess that would be the advantage. But why wouldn't you just do a pull-up? Like if all you care about is your lats, okay, I'm going to go somewhere with this. If your lats are the only reason you're training your back and you want to minimize overdevelopment of your traps and rear delts, why wouldn't you just do weighted pull-ups instead? Why would you do any type of row? That doesn't make sense to me. Right? That would be like a guy saying, my triceps are too big. I need my triceps to get smaller and I need my chest to grow. And they do a closed grip bench instead of a fly. I'm like, no, why don't you just do a fly at that point? If your triceps are so big they look like giant footballs and you'd like to take an inch off of them, but you need a bigger chest, why would you do a closed grip bench press? Why don't you do a chest fly? So that would be my response to that when people bring that up, because it's what I have. Well, it's all about you get all this lat. I'm like, but rows should be trying to work your whole back. That's the point of a row. So just do a pull-up then. Don't bother with the hip swing. Just do pull-ups. Do pull-up variations. I watched a 2020 video on FTS channel where they said Sweet Burns says he doesn't pause reps because pause make pressing slower, but I'm opinion pause benching. Wasn't he in a quick benchery though? I think that matters in this context. Because most of the really, really super strong raw benchers I know do a lot of pause work. Because do they really need to practice the pause work at all for a shirt? Is it relevant, or do they need follow through? So you need to understand that difference. And I'm not saying the guys wouldn't be strong raw. I mean, if a guy's benching 1,000 pounds in a shirt, I promise you he's got a hell of a bench press raw. But Jefferson, no, they say things that make sense to the equipment. Just like I had a client who tried to roll their deadlift. They tried to roll the bar. And they're like, but Eddie Hall does it. Are you saying Eddie Hall is wrong? And I'm like, Eddie Hall is not a raw bench press or not a raw deadlifter. Like, as a raw deadlifter, you should not be rolling the bar. I mean, there might be a few people that works for, but by and large, it's going to be a problem. There'll be exceptions, obviously. But I'm like, Eddie Hall is doing it because of the deadlift suit. And he's not going to lose the things. He's got straps on, so the grip is not going to be an issue. But he's got a fat belly. He's had a big old fat, enormous pregnant belly, and he's in a deadlift suit. He's rolling it into position, right? But and I'm like, you're a lean guy without an enormous pregnant belly, and you don't have a deadlift suit. Yeah, I think it's counterproductive. I think the same guy would probably be stronger if he'd quit rolling. Honestly. He'd probably get another 10 pounds if he could learn to do it without the roll, even if he's an elite puller. Hey, Yorkie, because the hamstrings being worked is debatable. I disagree with starting strength on that. Yeah. But yes, squats work the glutes. Like, squats are one of the best glute builders. This is why when people say stuff like we need other stuff to build glutes, squats aren't good enough. Really, have we ever had an exercise beat squats for glute development in the lab when it's been measured? Like actual muscle growth? Nothing that I've ever seen in the lab has ever shown more growth than a back squat for the glutes, even in women. Hip thrusts don't even compete. It's been measured. It's been tested. So, what do you say to that? No, I mean, squats are a phenomenal glute builder. Leg presses, any of they're deep. They're great glute builders. But we're talking hamstrings too. But the deadlift works a lot of other stuff. But we don't need a lot of deadlifting. I mean, you can do high amounts of deadlift. I've done it, and I can tell you I don't gain any more strength when I do lots of deadlifting versus 1 to 3 sets a week total. But then again, I only do 1 set of squats a week too these days. And I think that pisses off some of my haters. They're like, this old man's walk over and squats 500 pounds. He does 1 set. Yeah. Why do I need more? Why do I need more than 1 rep on the squat per week? I can go do machines to build my squat. Get that one quality single in. I might start trying to do reps with it though. I might start trying to eventually AMRAP 500. Do front squats target quads better than back squats? Depends on the specific squat and your biomechanics. Are you talking compared to a comparable high bar squat where you get the same knee angle? No, be identical. Are you talking about a low bar squat where you personally get less knee angle and more hip? The answer to the front squat would be a little more. Do we do lower deadlift volume just because we can handle recover from, because we only need a low volume? I'd say it's a combination, Jefferson. Other than speed pulls, I don't think we're getting a whole lot of benefit. I mean, almost very few exercises benefit from more than about 3 sets of that exercise, because we're losing performance real fast. So here's a way to look at it, Jefferson. Here's a way I would phrase it. Are you losing effective reps due to fatigue on multiple sets of deadlifts? Okay. Are you losing effective reps from the multiple sets? Then you're not gaining any muscle from it anymore. And it's real hard to sustain performance. I mean, I've done like the doubles, but then I've come in and done 4 reps a few weeks later with that same weight I did 3 doubles with. Kind of see where I'm going here? Do you think I could have done a 4th or a 5th set with that weight? So we're getting over to some problems there. You know, and then I'll get guys who pull 700 and they're over here like, well, I'm down doing 550 for some work sets. And it's like, how many reps are you getting? Nobody wants to hear that. Because if you can pull 700 and you're doing triples with 550, do you think you're getting that much gains out of it? Do you think it's doing much? Maybe if you're pulling it for speed work. For me, you're getting a little training response, but it's a lot of fatigue for very little stimulus. But sure, if you could recover set to set, you'd get a lot of benefit. You know, so like let's say, you know, your max is 600, 615, and you can do triples with 550. I mean, if you could do 10 triples with it, you'd benefit from it. How many people can actually do that though? And how long are your breaks turning into? Because you're at about, you know, 87 up to close to 90% right there. Before long, you're taking 10-minute breaks between those triples to try to maintain it. I mean, do you really want to deadlift for 3 hours? You could have just done some other hypertrophy work to get that same muscle growth. You're not getting much extra neural drive from there. First 3 or 4 sets, you probably got a lot. So it's a matter of thinking through your resources. You know, how are you utilizing your resources in recovery? Is it the best use of your time? And I mean, I get it. If you're young, you're 30 years old, and you're on 2 grams of tests, okay. But what if you're not? So let's come over to me, Jefferson. Right now, I'm 48. I'm on 125 milligrams of tests. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm on right now. I'm 48. I don't know if I want to try to do 5, 6 sets of heavy deadlifts. I don't know that I'm going to recover from it. And let's come back over to that quad question on the front squat. Are you trying to build everything, or you care just about your quads? Because there's better ways to build your quads than to come in and do front squats as an accessory. Front squats have a lot of carryover to a lot of stuff, but you're looking for carryover. You're looking at building other muscles. Same thing with your back squat. It's not just about your legs. There's back involvement. There's coordination involvement. The glutes, the abductors, all of that. It's all getting a ton of stimulus. If you're just trying to bring up lagging quads, we have this thing called a leg extension machine. And if your quads are your weak link in your squat, a leg extension will improve your squat over time. Some of my machines, like Ken, he went 680 in a meet less than a year after that. He didn't do that much squatting. He did squatting every week, a couple sets, some box squats also, one heavy set of squats. We did a lot of leg press though, a lot of leg pressing. See where I'm going with this? Brandon says, hey, Jason. What's up, Brandon? Hey, guys, it's 8 o'clock. I've been in here about 45 minutes. I need to refill my coffee anyways. I'm going to get a shoulder day in. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. For seated shoulder press, is it okay to set the bench one pin back? Sure, if you want. It's kind of a high climb, but it still gets the job done. I think it's fine. All right, though. I'm going to wind this down. Hope it's been informative. Give you guys a forearm shot before we go. And I'll talk to you next time.